Morning, we're talking about the most needed but often lacking characteristics of today's teenagers. Joining us this morning is school psychologist and life coach Steve Simons. Good morning. Thank you for being here. When we talk about building resourcefulness and resilience, first of all, what are we talking about specifically?
Well, what struck me, what brought out this whole issue in my mind was the college scandal, admission scandal that we went through. And those parents just completely missed the mark. Because what's happening in today's world, if you read and follow, listen to college admissions people, listen to professors, and all of the data shows that today's college students, recent teenagers, don't know what to do when they fail.
Who dropped the ball on this?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm not sure I'm willing to commit to that. But
is it parents? Is it teachers? Is it?
I think it's probably a lot of helicopter parenting. I think it's society. But I think the converse of that, though, that I really admire, the best place I think for students to begin to develop that resilience and resourcefulness is in sports and in theater.
Extracurriculars.
Absolutely. Teachers can't be handed the responsibility to do that, but they've got to have that potential, that capacity to get back up after they've been knocked down. And again, the data shows they don't know what to do.
How can people recognize voids, things that are lacking in people's, in young people's character?
Very good question. I think the first thing that I think that you've got to begin to watch your teenagers, see how they react or respond to defeats and failures, and just get a sense of how they are. First of all, there's nothing wrong with reacting with anger, frustration, pointing blame, but then the next question has to be, and this is where parents really come into the equation, what do you think you should do the next time? And notice, by the way, that's a question, not a statement. Not, this is what I think. No. Let's reverse it. Ask a question. Get the student thinking and involved.
Steve, what are the consequences if these issues aren't addressed?
When they get to college and they fall, they won't know what to do, number one. Number two, when they get out into the job market. That's the one that struck me, was I've done a great deal of work in managing, consulting, coaching executives for a long period of time. And one of the problems that they have is young people coming into the workforce, they don't know what to do. They freeze, they fall. If you've got a young person who's got that resilience and resourcefulness, they're going to go further. It's not a question of intelligence, family heritage, GPA, where they went to school, the elite school. All of that is pretty much irrelevant, or at least secondary. It's the resourcefulness and the resilience in dealing with any situation and doing it successfully, overcoming the obstacles of life.
One of the problems I noticed very recently, we were talking off camera, I had a chance to critique some essay work done by college students, and it was very difficult because I found that their thought process was all over the place, run-on sentences, poor spelling, poor grammar. And I thought to myself, how can somebody graduate from high school lacking those communication and writing skills?
And the answer is, I don't know. I think there are so many instances or situations where one of the things that I've realized is that high school students have the worst time management challenges than any other segment of society. Because if you think about it, high school is just crammed full. Then they go off to college, and all of a sudden, in a 168-hour week, all they've got is 15 hours of classes. What do they do with the time that's left? So my point is, time for high schoolers is brutal, and then it becomes an issue of prioritization. Obviously, you've also got social media, screen time that's killing them in terms of focused attention, which comes back to the main issue that I see all the time. A goal, and as they pursue that goal, everything else kind of falls apart. It leads to prioritization and decision making.
A plate full of stuff for families to think about.
Ooh, boy.
Steve, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.